do it. I'm so excited. His best of 3 was, I believe, a quarterfinal, or, nah, I'm pretty sure it was a quarterfinal of the most recent ESL Pro Tour Korean Open Cup number 11. Oh my gosh. I'm already too tired. That took all the words I had, guys, to actually say the name of that. But yeah, I wanted to cast it, and then I couldn't. So, while I do know who wins, I'm gonna be up front with you guys, I don't care. I want to watch some really good TVP. In the top left, as the blue Terran, it is Dream. In the bottom right, as the pink Protoss, it is Zest. He's always pink. He loves the color, I guess. Maybe just on Protoss? I mean, Protoss are kind of like a pretty race, so it makes sense. They're pretty in pink. And it's a very light pink as well. Well, it could definitely be a hotter pink. And then maybe it would be more jarring, but I like his aesthetics. I want to watch the Scarlet vs. Zest finals. I think it was from a few days ago. I cast it on my channel, so you could literally check it on the VODs. I'm also uploading that, I think, to my YouTube tomorrow. I gotta warn you, though. You know what? I'm not gonna warn you. I'm just gonna... I want to comment so badly on it, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Innovation's the only Terran that matters. I don't know. See, Dream's actually pretty good. Dream has that coolness factor that he actually came back from the military and is doing fantastic. It's gonna be, in a short amount of time, it's gonna be hard to remember that Dream even went to the military, you know? Especially as he gets to, like, you know, well, I don't know if he can really get to any bigger stages just because GSL is really the only thing happening. There's no real, you know, cross tournament that he can go to. But I believe that he could. I just think it's unlikely. Like, if he gets round of 8s in GSL consistently, I think people will just kind of forget. And they'll be like, he's always been around. And that's what happens as the, you know, time passes, right? But Zest, he's hot stuff. Super Tournament's been happening. If you guys missed that, definitely check it out. It's on YouTube. On the Africa TV. Africa Esports, something like that. YouTube. But Zest been playing in that. Unfortunately, he did get pushed out by Trap, which was very surprising to me. And that's because, you know, Zest is usually good at PvP, but just like the games themselves weren't like, it didn't feel like Zest was playing at the top of his game. You know, it wasn't that Trap was just so much better. But anyways, Zest doesn't just play in those offline tournaments. He plays in a ton of the online tournaments, which is really great. It makes it great to be a Zest fan. And in particular, I really like his PvT. His PvT is what I try to do almost every time. Because he does a lot of the Twilight Council openers. So does Trap. So I like Trap's PvT as well. But yeah, as you can see here, it is a blank opener. A lot of dancing around with these units that, I mean, is really sick. I'm putting on the camera so you guys can see how they're microing each other, but ultimately doesn't add up to very much. Maybe it made Dream add a Hellion instead of going directly into Widow Mines. And that's a little bit of a difference that you can have when you're a little paranoid about how many units are going to send across the map. But otherwise, it's very... I mean, if anyone actually lost substantial amounts to this early pressure, well then, that's pretty bad for a pro gamer. It happens. It just really sucks. Zest is going to get that third base. Link, Robo. Third base actually before that Robo, but after second gateway. So apparently this is now the thing to do. Instead of going for 3 gateways and a Robo, it's 2 gateways and a Robo. And we'll see if he goes for 2 forges or a single one, but it's also been adapted to go to a single one. So it's like, it's replacing greed, the tech greed, with like production greed. Ooh, wouldn't mind to not get too much done, but Medevac does live. Yeah. Not too much. He's gonna go for a Hellion drop in the main. I mean, it's cute. It's something to do with the Hellion. Why not? And the Medevac's still alive, so seriously, why not? Why is +1 started so early? Oh, okay, there we go. I was like, +1 usually doesn't start, like, as the first thing here. He was just swapping over his barracks. Maybe a little late because he was focusing on the macro. Rather the micro, the Hellion. Didn't get any additional scouting, really. It's kind of around that weird time where Double Forge could have been put down, or maybe not. Unfortunately, the Hellion did not see the blink up. Hussein Phoenix was used with that sentry. That's a cool little move instead of having to wait for an observer to come across the field. And just a handful of stalkers at this point in time, guaranteed to be effective because, well, Stim, so no way Stim is done. They do need a lot of room to maneuver, to micro away from those Marines, but they absolutely had it. Dream did not anticipate that high ground blink, so his units were over here. If they're over here, you don't even blink. It's suicide, but... Ooh, Zest is kind of taking control of this game in a big way. This does not look so hot. 5 workers down, but also a ton of Marines down. And Zest continues to macro back at home, adding on all those gateways. He's got charge. He's actually going for no forges whatsoever. So probably just going to see a follow-up push that is going to obliterate Dream, considering his opener really hasn't gone his way so far. I don't want to call it too soon, but I'm kind of feeling it. Still only on those 3 gases. Maybe a couple of Immortals will come out. Single drop full of Marines headed to the south side. I guess not feeling confident about an actual push down the middle, but oh no. Did that see it? Did the Observer see it? The Observer saw it. Oh my god. Zest, he's checking for it, and he finds it. And why not just tap out right then and there? Why not? Oh my god. And he does! And he does! Nailed it. Nailed it. Cuckoo, seriously, I'm warning you to stop the balance whining, dude. No one's enjoying it. Just not a fan of the Jin. It's a J. They wish they were sponsored by Jin. Not a fan of the Jin Air Green Wings, Korean Team Cleaning House, and Korean StarCraft. That's a very interesting take. Why does it matter? In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, it is Dream. In the top right, as the red Protoss, it is Zest. I wish Chage is going to do well again. Yeah, he's probably still having issues with his wrist. I mean, you don't really stop having issues. You know, like... You can get better at mitigating the issues, but especially when you're a pro gamer and the urge to, like, just practice more to get better takes hold of you. Like, it's really hard to actually just, you know, kind of be done with wrist issues. Even Flash, who had surgery to fix his, once again, has issues. It's just very difficult to control. So it's, an unfortunate reality that some of our Terrans especially are not going to be able to perform 100%, or if doing so, they actually will just blow out their wrists, basically. It's sad. But I think, you know, we've heard a lot less of that happening amongst the scene. The people who have had issues still have them, but I haven't heard so many new issues popping up. I mean, there was a time in like 2011 where it was like, seriously, all these Terrans they had wrist issues, because we also were talking about Brood War players, because that was before the transfer over to StarCraft 2 happened. So it was like 2 scenes worth of pro gamers were like all talking about the struggles, and it's like, oh man, that really sucks. But I guess, I mean, the team house environment has really died down. Even Jin Air Green Wings doesn't really operate in a team house. I think the rumor is, like, I don't know this for a fact, but I think the rumor is that they actually live basically like in an apartment building, but in like different rooms. I think some even have actually just moved out entirely and like live with other pro gamers. Yeah, so it's not even really a team house. But yeah, anyways, that mentality of also like just working for 12 hours and that's your bare minimum to, you know, desperately get your pro gamer license, which is no longer a thing anymore. I mean, it's really fallen off. And it should have. Like, it's all well and good to just nose to the grindstone type thing, but it's just not, like, it's not supposed to be that efficient. You know, like, marathon runners, well, marathon runners are different, actually. I can't believe that, like, basketball players, right? They don't train 12 hours a day. I was like, marathons actually take a long time. That's probably not the best analogy, but basketball players don't literally train 12 hours a day, right? It's not going to do you any good. But regardless, I'm just glad that we have some healthier pro gamers and maybe healthier mindsets towards pro gaming as well. 2020, pro gaming's the hot thing, man. Adept trying to get some decent harassment. Dream once again going for the Hellion anyways. Actually, this time kills the Adept. Gets one last SCV before dying. Blink opener again, and this time 3 gateways. So chronoing that blink as well. You know, it's so funny that was 2 gateways last game, and he did such the max amount of damage offensively with them. That really, I kind of forgot about that when he was doing stalker damage, but that could have been even worse. Dang. It's going to help out against any Hellion run-bys, which Zest might be afraid of. I mean, he did see a Hellion, but he did not see a factory on the reactor, so I don't really think he's thinking so much of Hellion run-bys. It's just a nice wall to have in general. Or maybe he was a little concerned. It could possibly be that they swapped over. We know they did it, though. It is just the 1-1-1 into the 3-1-1. Same combat shields all started on the same time. A lot less greed in this game. We got a third Nexus after 2 gateways and after a Robo. Dream taking tabs on this is once again going to lift up that Hellion to try and add some extra damage. This is very effective against like an SCV line because Widowmines don't one-shot SCVs with their splash. But actually, Widowmines do one-shot probes with their splash. So the Hellion doesn't help out very much, but it does take a couple of shots. Widowmines trying to get some decent shots. Oh my god! That one almost got 6 probes. It's still got a Stalker, though, which is actually pretty good. This one looks like it just got a single probe. But yeah, I was going to say, the Hellion might just take up a couple of shots. And, you know, it is better use than absolutely nothing. Seems the remaining Korean team is a definite leg up on everyone. I mean, they came from an environment of a team house for longer than everyone else. You're not wrong about that. I think their situation is different, has been different, though, for years at this point, compared to what we expect, what we know of a Korean team house. And there's been other attempts at, like, training houses. You know, not a team necessarily, but a bunch of people getting together in a house and training. Like, at this point, I don't think Generic Green Wings is dominant because they are Generic Green Wings. I think they're dominant because they were Generic Green Wings, and they also just, they developed a lot of really awesome players who still continue to be awesome despite not being necessarily under a super strict schedule. And if they really were dominating, then Zest would have never made it to the second place IM Katowice finals. Cyril wouldn't be as good as he was. Like, are a lot of generic players top 8, top 4 champions? Yeah, but I really don't have a problem with that. I don't think it's an unfair advantage at all. I was seeing the mines when burrowed because mines when burrowed they're not cloaked, they're not hidden, there we go. They're not hidden unless they have drilling claws once they fire. Perhaps you weren't around for that change. It was a couple of years back. So we finally get to the point where Dream can do this attack. This is the attack that they wanted to do last game, but was just at such a terrible position. He just tapped out instead, and that was totally understandable. Zest still working on that charge. You know, actually does not have the fastest double forge, only really just recently started because he has so many stalkers. And he even warped in 4 sentries, not 1 or 2, but actually 4 sentries, and also is pumping out a 3rd immortal. That's a lot of resources to go into not double forge, not the quickest charge. But it's resources that can still be used very effectively. Stalkers should not be underestimated alongside decent force fields and an immortal buddy to back them up. But if you look at the Protoss army, it is missing that usual zealot buffer. So that is a lot of bio to be coming in here. Zest wants to get a couple of good force fields, but already very awkward. Having his gateways actually, I mean, look at this. The pylon gateway combination means that what would be a beautiful concave ends up being like a concave. The stalkers were getting all up in the Immortal's grill trying to move it out of the way. But it is going to be a hold. He could have tried to snipe some of the Immortals. It'd be hard for them to run away with Marauder slow, but he would have taken a lot of damage, and the risk of being cut off was still there. And Zest working on primarily Stalkers, even still, even as charge is done. This would be the type of army that's great at chasing things down, great at picking things off. When it does get forced into a mono, no force field advantage type situation, it starts to look a little bit weaker. Dream's about to have that 1-1 upgrade lead in just 15 seconds here. He already had an attack upgrade lead, but that'll be lost in another 20 seconds. And with Dream not pushing that point, it looks like he won't have an upgrade lead for a main battle. So Zest successfully defends. Eternal Empire is a great map for defending your 3 bases. You do have a high ground, you have the chokes, just gotta keep an eye out on the army, which is exactly what he did. Now, preparing for any drops that might come, because that's gotta be what the... Sorry? It's gotta be what the Terran does next. They have to keep up the pressure. A Dream has actually shown some really, really good late game TVP. It's difficult, but it's certainly possible in Eternal Empire that we see 4 bases, 5 bases, Liberators. Dream has been pretty good there, even stubbornly so. He gets into a position with Mass Liberator, and he's like, I should win this, right? And then he does it, and he's like, but I should. I feel like the last time I saw him on Eternal Empire. Any idea how much longer you'll be streaming? Another 30 minutes. You know, it's really cool now, actually. If you guys haven't heard, and it's very likely you didn't, but they actually released a offline streamer page. So if you go to someone's page and they're not auto-hosting someone, then you actually get to see there's like a cool little schedule that you can go to, as well as a better About Me section and like a trailer as well for the stream. It's pretty cool. It's a good idea. It does mean that you can't just host and auto-host if you actually want to utilize that page, but yeah, there's a lot of different places you can find my schedule. I haven't played or watched in over a year. The Wouldn't Mind change is like a 3-year-old change. It's pretty old at this point. Attack coming to the right side. It's not all of the army, though. And Zest, he's gotta be suspicious that it's not all that army. He is... Okay, there we go. He's moving his army back to the left side. He's like, that doesn't look like a fully... Well, not necessarily maxed out Terran army. That doesn't look like what it should be at 10.5 minutes. Suicide Colossus might be very intentional to try and trick Dream into thinking that he already is on Colossus. It's actually not true. But you know what, Dream? Going up to 4 bases, I think this was on location. He already can afford everything he wants to get anyways. Like, if... Yeah, he should not over-make Vikings if there are no Colossus to kill, of course. But if he has like 6 extra Vikings, but is also maxed out with 2/2, Ghost, and Bio, that's still not a bad army. So, I mean, tricking him's always a good idea. Trickery is very good in StarCraft, but I feel like Dream, even if he was tricked, is still well on his way to a very good army. The upgrade lead is about to go away. There's only like a 10-50 second difference, but it would have been amazing to actually get that upgrade lead. It is not here. EMP was a little late there, but the Warp Prism was a big surprise, I think, to Dream. That's where the Vikings actually help out here. They take out the Colossus and now go after the Warp Prism, which is warping in a couple of key Zealots. There's a lot of Marauders left over, and all the Stalkers are getting chewed through. A couple Storms land, but the Immortals have gone. The Stalkers are all pretty much dead. Zest not having everything together all at once actually kind of kerfuffled this attack or defense. They kind of met each other in the middle of the map after all. But he had so much more to give in that fight, and everything was just a little bit too late. And now Dream, with the rally, is going to continue forward. All the Storms now are gone, and he's dodged out of the way. He's let most of his Marauders live. And without those Storms, without those Immortals to pack a punch, does Zest actually have enough to defend? Archons will provide a lot of stockiness instead of having those mass Zealots, but the Stalkers, I mean, they're not Immortals as much as they wanted to be. As much as that one patch made them. They're not. And they're going to have to try damn hard to focus fire down some of these key units. If they just free fire, it's not going to be as effective, and nearly as effective, as Dream's army free firing. And Dream's army still has a couple of EMPs, more than a couple actually, to scan on the high ground to get rid of those 2 storms that were prepared, as well as EMPs on those Archons. And the Stalkers, they just go kaput. They gotta run away. They gotta wait for more Zealots reinforcing. But Zest is on he's on the end of a losing battle here. Momentum swung way too hard in Dream's favor. GG. I mean, Zest had a couple extra storms if they were on the front lines. Could have been a big difference. He had Zealots, you know, that were denied in that warp in. That could have made a big difference. And he even had, like, a couple of miscellaneous units kind of getting pulled, I think, with an F2 that weren't involved with the fight either. And it's just like, oh, if everything was together, it might have been different. Did I just hear kaput? Yeah. Probably. Game number 3. Thanks, Maddox. In the top left of some Simulacrum, it's Dream. And the bottom right is the pink Protoss. He is Zest. What's F2? Wow, if you're not F2ing, what are you doing in your life? Trying to play this game well? Chuff. Please. F2 is actually a really useful tool to have. It's pretty much the best thing you can do, so as not to get in the habit of F2ing, is to unbind F2, but then leave it as, you know, clickable. So if you really are in an emergency, you can actually click on it. Whoops. That's where it would be, in my defense. I tried to click on it, didn't work. That's when you select all armor units, which include observers and overseers. Nice saying reverse Anglicism. What the heck is that? That's a fancy phrase right there. I think some people are under the impression that all pro gamers do not ever use F2, and that's just not true. There's been way too many games where many different pro gamers of all different skills, including the tippy top, have clearly F2'd. But it is something they only do in a real emergency. Yeah, my F2 sets my camera location. So, but I that's better, because then I have to actually click on it, as opposed to just using it constantly. I was never in the habit of F2ing anyways, so it was not difficult for me to break. Alright, we got a Stargate proxied coming in here. Dream will eventually be able to scout a lack of second pylon. Be a little suspicious, but I say that as if that's a for certain thing. It's actually not for certain. The Adept could do an excellent job of denying it, and in this matchup, you definitely can place your pylons kind of wherever. In PvP, it's a little more difficult because you need a pylon to power your potential shield battery, and you need a pylon to power your wall. That's 2 right there, right? But in this matchup, actually, if Zest just wanted to put a pylon over here for God knows what reason, he technically could. It's not really useful, but he could. I don't think that Reaper got far enough to see anything. So yeah, the Adept does an excellent job of denying it. Vision sees no technology, no second pylon, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to be hopping up to see that Stargate. Now, a Stargate proxy, not as deadly as it once was. So an SCV pool, if it's quick enough, it'll actually really mitigate the damage to the point where it's like not even that impressive. But it looks like Dream is a little suspicious of something, despite getting like close to 0 scouting. He sets his Widow Mines in locations that are for for an Oracle. He could just be like, I don't know what it is, so this is the safe thing to do, because why not do it if your medevac's not out picking these Widow Mines up? For Zest, he could actually do something really tricky and wait for the typical timing of a medevac to pick up the Widow Mines. You wouldn't usually like think about this timing. You just think about the timing of which a Widow Mine drop would hit you, like around 4:45 or whatever. But if he is doing what I'm thinking he's doing, then that's actually really cool too, and I think it's exactly what he was meaning to do. So the speed of the Oracle really wasn't the the important thing here, is he had to wait anyways, but the Widow Mines being picked up was quite nice. Marines were in close enough location that this only deals 3 SCVs worth of damage, and you gotta wonder, where are the Widow Mines? He's got a couple of units warped in. It's 3, not 2. He takes care of 1 Widow Mine instantly. The other one has to be microed away. This one, is it going to get a shot? No, Zest is on top of it. He's on top of that one as well. Actually, so far, only 1 probe has died, and he's still controlling his Oracle as well. Really nice defense there from Zest. The only thing that could have made that better is if he was able to fit in a Phoenix and chase it down. But he's not even fitting in a second Oracle. Just the 1, and then he's on to Blink. Very non-committal there. Thoughts on Zero Select All Queen Hockey? I have no opinion on it. I didn't know that he had that. Glad that ZG is still around. 4 years ago. 2016? That's a long time ago. Described as German stealing words from English. Stealing German words. Go put it's a German word? I actually... Well, I mean, it's not inaccurate to say that it's a German word. I just assumed that it was a Jewish word. Like a klutz. But I didn't know. Now I know. Thank you for that information. This is devastating. The Viking goes down, a very effective deterrent against the Oracle. But more so than that, I was worried about that stim. But it looks like he's actually not going to go for it. If he had gotten stim, that's kind of it right then and there. But that is not all that is happening. Adepts got into the natural as well, forcing a pull-up of the SCVs, so they don't get a lot done. That was a lot of chaos. And the 2 Adepts actually might just survive here. In fact, they will... Just barely, but they do. Dream doesn't, again, lose that many workers, but lots of lost mining time. He's going to lose a bunker here now, maybe? No, he's going to go after a Marauder. Probably the better target. This is a Stalker. Not perfect. Zest has 1 Forge going for +1 armor. He's getting a lot of gateways, and he is getting that charge. He will have a heavier charge lot army this time around compared to that last game, once the medevac doesn't get it. Zest with some pretty good control, and Dream just trying to respond to it with his own decent control. But really feeling the pressure. No Protoss player who opens up like this really just lets you get away with it. That one are really, really good. Just lets you get across the map without them bothering you. Yeah, gonna take the time to kill the Stargates. Really not a high priority target, but yeah, worth taking out. I feel like if he had immediately gone for the attack, though, that's actually a little bit suspicious there for Zest, but he warped in some sentries, so all I need to do is force field. So it's fine. It's fine. Okay, there's a sound bug. That's weird. Couple shield batteries. He's feeling the pressure. He doesn't have his charge lot count up that high. He has yet to add an Archon. They're waiting, but they're not here. Couple force fields, but actually keeping his Zealots in the back, alright? Zealots, they initially take out the units on the front of the force field, that's great, and then they just go up against this wall. It's not so great. The Stalkers ended up doing what the Zealots could have done anyways. And now's the time for the Zealots to shine. Oh, but the Widowmine show is actually really good, and that second one is also pretty damn good. Not bad. But Zest control there, really showing how to use this type of army. It was pretty sick. Dream forced to retreat, trying to get to that Ghost Academy. Definitely the right call here, adding on his production. He does have his 3rd base done, but it was not that fast, and it is certainly not that saturated. He did just continue. Okay, I thought he was GGing. He did just, like, stall SCV production. Sometimes you can start it up a little bit sooner. You know, when you know your 3rd CC is about to finish, you can kind of get that rolling, but nope. That was like a hard stall. His economy doesn't look that great. It is now catching up to Zest when you count for mules. But Zest has been on 3-base saturation, I think, for some time. Probably shouldn't be producing probes, so I'm actually a little surprised by that. And he supply blocks, so I just want to, like, double whammy there. Come on, Zest. Yeah, I'm really surprised that Zest is building probes. He's so oversaturated, and he's just going to be more oversaturated. Okay, he canceled them. And he has once again gained control over the map. We got an Oracle still casting those revelations. Very annoying. I mean, this didn't get 7 SEV kills in the beginning of the game, but just having access to it can be so frustrating for the Terran. Zest wants to find an opening, but with Dream turtling on his 3 bases, something that he really didn't have an option not to do. There was no room for those Zealots, but later. That's when the Zealots will come in and mess up Dream's attack. And Dream knows it. Dream is actually searching for them. Got a couple of Vikings on the way. Last game, we saw they can help out against that Warp Prism. So while you're, thinking about Colossus in the future, and maybe that is purely what you're thinking about, if you know that your Protoss opponent is capable of using a Warp Prism with Storm, you kind of need to get 2 Vikings. You need to control them just like you would as if you were facing someone going for Colossus. Dream's going to spread himself a little bit thin here, going to the right side. Big EMP. Shockwave is done on top of the Stalkers, but he needs to get on top of those Zealots. There we go. There's on top of the Zealots, but here comes the Warp Prism. The Vikings actually get taken out without dealing much damage at all. And the High Templars are going to start, the wraparound, complete surround into a Storm on that top side. Bottom side goes a little bit better, but just kidding. Zealots come in from behind, and that is just terrible for Dream. Oh my god, that was disgusting. He got a couple of decent EMPs to start the fight off, but he didn't EMP the most important units, and his units also weren't together. That was such an awkward engagement that ultimately it went in favor of Zest. And now he can just continue the aggression. Dream has to cancel that 4th base. No way he can start that. He's now starting his 2-2, but the upgrades are actually even. Maybe he could have gotten the lead if he had been immediate to it, but it's actually Zest with a couple more Chronos going to have that +2 armor lead. And probably going to go for the beheading. Actually, he doesn't. He goes for a Warp Prism drop of Archons and takes a 4th base. But I really feel like he could actually continue the pressure with the Stalkers at the very least. But maybe just going to take a chill pill. Maybe a little scared of Dream going for a drop. Did he lose his Oracle in that engagement? He did. So, or maybe he's just reposturing. Seems to be the latter. The Warp Prism goes in the main, Zealots go in the 3rd, and Zest goes into the 4th, gets another cancel there, as well as now has an opportunity to go into the natural. And Dream's going to be pulled every single way. Vikings do pop. I think maybe they were actually there from the get-go, but they were not expecting Archons, probably. Enough units in the main base to do take care of the drop, and Zealots over to the 3rd only cause a momentary blip before the army responds. Only 6 SEVs were lost, and that's 2 Archons and a Warp Prism, so that's actually a very expensive drop. So far, a good defense from Dream, but Zest on 4 bases is close to maxing out, has got still the better upgrades for another 30 seconds or so, and was very scarily just controlling the map. But without that Warp Prism, you definitely have to reconsider. He pulls back home, scans to see no 4th, but we know that actually would have been a 5th. Dream has not considered the top right base yet, although that scan might have just reminded him the top right could be taken. One of mine's because he knows Zealots are sharking around somewhere. Nah, he's going to take him with him. He does leave himself completely open, but he's got to have everything on the front lines, especially if the Storms are good. And the Storms, once again, he's actually found himself in a very similar situation. How did this happen twice? I feel like it's deja vu right now. How did this happen twice? The same problem with the units up against this and other units down here being surrounded by Zealots. How? Zest, I mean, that's... It's funny it's the same exact position, but the idea is understandable. The idea is that if you're out there controlling the map, you're going to take those better engagements, force them to be on the awkward side of things. But to happen twice in the same manner is just... Ouch! I feel like after the first time, you're like, well, okay, I'm alive. I better not do that again. And then it happens, and you're like, oh, I'm...